Aloha everybody, and welcome back to the Hawaii Volcano Update Report. In this edition, we're going to be discussing the information from February 28th, 2021 that was posted by the USGS at 9:03 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Currently, the Kilauea Volcano is erupting, as everyone knows, and this eruption started on December 20th, 2020 at about 9:30 p.m. in the Halemaumau Crater. It quickly replaced the water lake that was there within a matter of 30 minutes or so. That had been boiled off and replaced with a fast-growing lava lake. Now, over time, we've gotten to the point where the lava lake growth has seemed to have stagnated a little bit. We only go up and down every other day, a few meters or feet. So we're pretty much, hitting a status quo there. But we'll talk about that all here in just a little while. Let's go ahead and get over to the USGS report, which they state that lava from the west vent continues to supply the lava lake within the Halemaumau crater. The active western half of the lake was approximately 218 meters or 715 feet deep as measured by a remote laser rangefinder on the morning of February 28, 2021. Over the past day, lava infusion continues at the western fissure. The lava rapidly develops a thin crust while flowing outwards towards the east, with occasional crust foundering between the vent and the main island, but not beyond the island. Stagnant or solidified lava crust covers the eastern half of the lake and is slowly growing westward around the main island. The position and dimensions of the main island are smaller islands. The position and dimensions of the main island and smaller islands have not changed due to the solidified crust. Some minor talus debris is accumulating on the lava surface around one or two of the islands as their edges cool, crack, and begin to crumble. The most recent sulfur dioxide emission rates measurements from February 26 are about 700 tons per day. This rate is lower than the emission rates from the pre-2018 lava lake, which was around 5,000 tons per day. And the summit tilt meters continue to show minor deflation after the start of a DI event on February 24th, while seismicity remained stable with elevated tremor and one minor earthquake. However, if you've noticed currently on the tilt meter, that DI event seems to have reversed itself, and we are now looking, that deflation event has reversed itself, and we are now looking at an inflating tilt graph, which is the top graph, and you see that sharp line going straight up. That is a very sharp and fast rise of tilt, which could mean that there is an influx of magma into the shallow storage system. We'll keep an eye on that as the day progresses and see exactly how that inflation plays out in its pattern. Excuse me. Okay, that's all repeat information. Moving over to the East Drift Zone observations. Of course, nothing much has changed there. Still, the geodetic monitors indicated that the upper portion of the East Drift Zone, which is between the summit and Pahoa, did contract while the summit deflated at the onset of this eruption, which was December 20th, 2020, but is currently stable. There has been pretty much relatively no change since then. There is no seismic or deformation data to indicate that additional magma is currently moving into either of the Kilauea's rift zone, being the south or the east rift zones, that is, and the SO2 and H2S emissions from Pahoa were still below instrumental detection levels when measured last time on January 7th, 2021. So they haven't been out there for a while, apparently. And that's relatively it for the USGS report. Not much more data has been indicated by them. There hasn't been a lot of super activity or anything like that at the summit. However, there has been some changes that I've noticed over the last couple days. So we're going to take a little bit of a closer look at that now. Currently, there's still, it looks like some weather up on the summit. Let's check the radar real quick. and grab my arrow so I can show you all that pretty much the caldera is right there at the tip of the arrow. So, and you can see we've got rain coming in. However, the radar seems to be working a little bit slow in its animation. Must be loading new data. But anyways, so that's pretty much where the caldera is. And we can see on the, it moved a little bit, but we can see on the cams, this being the west rim cam, that things are a little steamy up there. So it's making it a little bit harder to see the actual surface of the lava, but that's okay. I have the trusty little thermal map that I can overlay. And I want to point out, right back here, we see a surface outbreak around the edge of the solidified ledge of the lava lake, which is where basically the new lava has attached itself to the edge of the crater itself. Now, when we see this is a very good indication that the depth of the lava lake is increasing, because as the surface level increases in elevation, it detaches the edges from the side of the crater, which allow a upwelling of molten material to replace, or basically fill in the gap that is created by the rising lake. So now what this tells us also is that the whole system itself is rising. So even all this solidified cooled material here rises in comparison with lava being added to the volume of the lake itself. And this is a great indication that the underside of the solidified area is still quite molten, as we can see by evidence right here of molten material. So that's one thing a lot of people don't understand, is that both the solidified and the molten areas are both rising. However, the molten area, because of the perched edge that surrounds it, like the walls of a swimming pool, it allows it to rise a little higher, because the material, the majority of the material, 70% or whatever, is solidified on the surface, which gives it more of a downward pressure, thanks to gravity, its weight, which also helps keep this area kind of solidified, or keeps this area slightly more elevated. But what I really want to talk about is this area over here. Now you see we have a warm area here with a cooler area separating it from the main body of the lava lake. I noticed last night and that day that we had a change in the spatter cone. And basically what has happened is we've had the spatter cone open up a new skylight, which is over here on this side. We've also noticed that this skylight has widened over the last 48 hours as well. So that's potentially, that means basically material has crumbled either into the cone or has crumbled down the cone. But we've also noticed here where the channel that was ultimately exposed and we could watch the lava flow down, crusted over. But down here at the bottom, just before it enters the subsurface of the lake, we see that we've got a little bit of emissions coming from there, and in the night cams we can see a glow from that area. It means so there's a little bit of an opening there. However, over here on the side where the new skylight opened up, we have noticed lava basically exiting that area. And of course, when we go to the thermal cams, hold on, looking for my arrow. So when we look at the thermal cams here, we see the hot spot here, we see the hot spot here, and then we see this warmer area here. Now, we don't have a continuous lava flow. It comes up, in spurts, kind of like percolating upwards. And I think as, the volume of lava increases, like in the next inflation event, which we're currently apparently entering, and we're going to see the amount of lava exiting the system go up as well over the next next 24 hours. I suspect, and I've talked about this before, that when the surface of the molten material becomes higher than the exiting channel of the vent, it's going to create a back pressure on that flow, which could mean that it might try to find a easier way out of the spatter cone or the fissure vent itself, which means it could break open, onto the sides or whatever. And that looks like kind of what started here in the last 48 hours. Now, what would really be absolutely amazing and completely interesting to watch is if we had a very high uptick in the infusion of lava from the magma sources up through the vent, which caused a large volume of lava to flow out the side vent and literally flow around this entire edge. Because you have to remember that this ledge that's on the outside ring of the main body of the lava lake is lower in elevation through here than this area is. This area is actually a little bit higher elevation than this area here, and this area here, of course, is a little bit higher elevation than these areas over here as well. So yes, to watch that lava run all the way around and back this way would be cool, because it would be basically a lava lake in a lava lake at that point, maybe, or a lava lake with a moat, or an island with a moat. It would just, I think, be a visually spectacular thing to witness occur. So that is pretty much that. We'll have to watch this develop if there's any further development. And it's really interesting is I'm noticing that, and I don't know if this has anything significant or if it's just because of the time of day, but it seems to be at nighttime is when we get our changes in the dynamic or the structures of this lake. It seems to occur, just after the sun sets and throughout the wee hours of the morning. And every day it kind of gets a little bit lazy and kind of laid back and just does its little thing. And then at night it gears back up again. But see, I'm not sure if that's actually correct assumption, because I think during the day, we don't get a very good view of the molten material. I mean, we can see the lake. Excuse me. I mean, we can see the lake, but we can't see the glow. And the glow is what tells us where the actual hot molten material is compared to the more cooler and solidified material. But I did see something right here in this image, which is really nice to look at. If you see this right here, this dark line, this is the perched edge. And so that edge is taller than on either side. So it's kind of like a little lip. And we see here that the lake surface is actually lower on this side. But when we come over here, we can see that perched edge is more even with the lake surface. So we potentially see overflows, and we have seen some overflows in this area over the last few days as well. But here down around the island, you can see that we don't really have a perched edge where the lava used to wrap around. And there's Griffin, of course, in the background. So don't forget to check out Griffin TV. He has his own little YouTube channel, believe it or not. Anyhow, so we don't see the perch edge here. This is actually more like a beach. And as the surface of this lake rises, it has the potential to send waves up over this area, which we've been seeing that as well. And of course, over here on this side of the island, the same phenomena is occurring. However, we are now seeing these cracks, and these cracks are actually dynamic. I've been watching them. This crack has been pretty much stable and hasn't changed size very much. But the one that was over here looks like it's pretty much closed up. And now we have a new one right here. And of course, this is all the solidified cooler material. So it's interesting. And I think these cracks are being created, of course, by the lava entering this molten portion of the lake, the visible portion that we can see. And of course, as it flows under, it lifts these things up. So these cracks are these are basically stress cracks that are created as the surface, the whole surface of the lake elevates and basically goes up and down, with the influx of lava. Which is interesting to watch. So it's almost kind of like a breathing pattern, that we've been seeing here as well. So I think that pretty much covers all the different things that we've been witnessing, other than one little thing, which I think is pretty cool, is that our lava island, see, that image still is not so good. Let me go over here. So our lava island, which is, of course, this right here, which this actually was mobile and floating around the lake in the beginning. It's, of course, now been stationary and stuck into position for over a month. Almost a month and a half now, 2 months, something like that. And, of course, this lava here has solidified up against it. So, technically, this is no longer an island. This has become part of the mainland, if you want to call it that. And the lava lake is really just the molten stuff, which is now more of a crescent shape. And, of course, this island has changed shape. These areas here have elongated a little bit, which is interesting. So, this is evidence that even though this island had gotten frozen into position and was no longer mobile, it still has been able to change shape and evolve along with the rest of the lava lake itself. So that shows that even if something is large or cool or ultimately different than another part, it doesn't make it inert. It is still changing. But that's because it's still interacting with the molten material. Now, of course, once it solidifies, like these islands over here, it's going to pretty much remain unchanging, except for some erosion, of course, we'll see. And that's something that the USGS pointed out in the report, that there was talus debris accumulating on the lake surface around one of the two islands as their edges cooled, cracked, and began to crumble. So that basically means, well, pretty much what we saw in the 2018 lava river with the edges, after everything cooled down there, they began to crumble and cave in and, fall down, the sides and, pile up onto the surface of the molten material that's solidified. So, and we will see that as over time too around the edges as we see rock falls and slides from the crater wall. We're going to see debris piles, build up here. However, since the edges are still quite dynamic and alive, with the increasing depth of the lake and causing the surface elevation to increase and breaking off. So any rock slides we see there are probably going to be reconsumed, but we may be able to catch them from time to time before that happens. But once the true dynamics of this lake changes and we no longer see any rise or fall in solidified surfaces, then any crater wall, rock sides, or whatever that may fall down on the surface will remain there and remain unchanged or consumed by the changing surface of the lava lake itself. So, okay, everybody, I think that pretty much does it for this update. Again, I will be in the chat on and off. I'm always lurking around, so having questions, whatever, don't forget to pop into the chat and place them there. A lot of great people that are following this that have learned a lot and know quite a bit about what's going on. So if I'm not here or if I don't see the question, one of them might be and could possibly even answer it. So also I want everybody to give a big mahalo to all our mods. They have been so attentive and excellent with this live stream and this current eruption event and helping maintain, the wonderful community, in the chat that we can all enjoy. So don't forget to say thank you to those. Big mahalo to all of y'all. Dana, Eddie, Karen, Shafee, Scott, of course, but he's not in here very much. Who are the other mods? So I'll type in the bot command right there so everybody can see the list of mods. So if you see them around, don't forget to give them a thank you. Also, if you want to help support the channel, you can do that, of course, by clicking that subscribe button as usual and hitting that bell icon and selecting all notifications so you don't miss updates and things of this nature. Also, if you want to help financially support the channel, which is greatly appreciated, we have a couple ways you can do that, of course, and that is through super chats or super stickers. Or if you want to send a direct donation, you can find links to that in the description and also in the live chat. Also, we have cool merch, face masks, t-shirts, etc. And hopefully I'll be working on some of that soon. And I got a new compilation series coming out very soon, dealing with the 2018 drone footage that was recently released by the USGS. There is a multitude of content, and I'm still downloading some of it and having to go through it. So it's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of viewing, that I have to do, and of course editing and putting it all together. So it's going to take some time, but we'll get there. So that'll do it. Again, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate all the support. Mahalo to all the super chatters out there. I know there were some yesterday that I missed and wasn't here. So I want to say thank you to those individuals. And if I'm correct, I can name them really quick. Jason Grantham, Lloyd Bellis, and Uncle Creepy, and David Zenz. And David, he's one of our mods. That's the one I forgot. Jason, thank you again for that $2.99. So Jason Grantham, Lloyd Bellis, Uncle Creepy, and David Zenz. They were super chatters from yesterday that I did not get to thank personally. So I just wanted to give them a quick shout out here in this update before I bring it to an end. And that'll do it, everybody. I really appreciate everything. Mahalo for watching, and you have an absolutely amazing morning, afternoon, or evening.